Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to hit that like.
There we go. You're in your television. Good for you. That's wonderful. You don't laugh. I remember when we had this TV with all the dials on the side. That is so appropriate.
And when we got our first TV in our neighborhood, I was the only one who could keep the rabbit ears in tune so that the picture didn't go away. And my dad used to go crazy if the news missed. Every day he had to watch the news. So 6:30 or 6 o'clock when the news came on, my full-time job was standing next to those rabbit ears, bending over and looking at the TV screen upside down. And Dad would really get upset, never mind about the tariffs and things like that. But a little bit he missed about some war happening in some corner of the world.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, he was very, very particular about that. And and that I forgot to tell you, the TV was 17 inches monitor.
Yeah.
We've had up to 30 people sit in our living room watching a video movie, a Western movie, a Hollywood movie that would come on once a week.
Yes.
And it was black and white. So half the time you had to guess who's who.
No. Even when I was watching black and white, you could always tell that their pants were green, or their shoes were black, or their hat was purple, or you always knew what the color was.
So, for the record, I know who you are. You know who I am. For the record, could you please tell us your name, rank, social number, location, whatever you want to tell us, and your past, your future, and how you know me.
Well, hi there. My name's Kenneth Craig. I am a resident of Kincardine, Ontario, Canada. I was raised on a dairy farm just outside of Kincardine. I was called to be a pastor at a Baptist church when I was around 50. I was there for about 15 years. I retired. I was called out of the ministry, and now I serve as the mayor of the municipality of Kincardine. I have known Eddie for a long, long time, first through his connection through the various churches in Kincardine, and now as a good friend.
And neighbor.
And neighbor, yes.
Right.
Local and international, yes.
That's right. Yeah. And it is really a pleasure. I'm really happy to have you here. And I may have mentioned to you, but I've taken it on myself to start a 90-day crusade to put Kincardine on the map. And I was very, very keen that you be the first one to do that. And I would officially announce it here, but something happened last week, and I'm on Facebook already announcing that. And critical part was 90 days to the Scottish Festival. I didn't want to cut into the Scottish Festival, so
yes.
I wanted to conclude with that. And because of that, I posted on Facebook, but I did not take the liberty of posting a lot of things that you have as logos on the Kincardine municipality site. And today I'll seek your permission for doing that. Is that okay with you, sir?
I think that would be fine. It would be very much appreciated if you could send a letter just to our municipal staff saying what the purpose is, just so that there is a written record. Eddie, just, I personally have no problems, but this is a world with lawyers and particular ideas of how the world should fashion. So just some sort of written record about what your intent is. And we would very much appreciate that.
I understand that. And I also understand that I can get away with saying me no speak English, but you can't.
I do not speak Punjabi or anything like that, so I don't know.
Yeah. So there are a few things that I could have walked around and taken pictures that you have, like Kincardine, where you're a stranger only once, and things you have along the lighthouse. But I thought I should get it officially as yours. And after this is all over, I would appreciate a kind of a letter from you, understanding what is happening and helping us promote that 90 days to put Kincardine on the map. Okay. The reason I'm saying that is I've been now for almost 26 years, and I go all over the place in Ontario and worldwide, USA, but what hurts me is in Kincardine, in Ontario, I go meet people, spend days with them, and they know I come from 250 kilometers northwest of Toronto and all that. And then they say, yeah, I've been there once. Isn't that next to Kirkland Lake? I just can't believe this. This people are just out of it. They know Port Elgin, they know Owen Sound, and then they know Sarnia. In between, they don't believe there's anything else. And I really baffle their brain by saying we're on the west coast of Ontario and the east coast of Lake Huron. And then they say, which is west and what is east? Anyway, this is your show. So I'd like to ask you to talk about anything you like.
Okay,
if you like,
I guess we're pretty
anything
well
except
done
religion and
talking then,
politics.
Eddie. 'Cause
which is a fair statement, right?
no, okay, I would be delighted to have a conversation, and I expect that you will be interjecting and asking me to either expand or whatever. So I did appreciate the guidance you gave me regarding some of the questions that you had sent along. So I'll start there, and we can build on those as we go. So one of the early questions was, what are some of the habits that I have established either now or early in my life that has made a significant difference in developing who I am and what I believe. And right now, I look back on my life, and the most valuable thing that ever happened to me was the steady practice of my parents getting me out of bed in the morning. They lived on a dairy farm. I was raised there, and every morning, we had to get up early to catch the bus through the school week, of course, but weekends and every morning in the summer, someone was at my door, banging on the door or pulling my foot out of bed or something. Between 6 and 6:30 every morning, it's get out of bed. It's time to go. Let's get going. And as a young person, I hated it. Like, it was awful. It was just let me sleep. And when my parents retired in, let me think, that would roughly the mid 1970s, when I graduated from college, they moved to a house in Kincardine, and I was a bachelor on our farm for 7 years. And, there was nobody there to get you out of bed in the morning. If you were out late at night, that's fine. You can go out late at night, but you will get up in the morning because the milk truck will be there. It takes 2 hours to milk the cows, and the milk truck drives in the lane at 8 o'clock in the morning. So you do the math. And it continued to be painful. Like, it's not what I wanted to do. But as I got older, as I have matured, as I look back on life, now my biological clock goes off at 5:45 every morning. I can't sleep in. Like, it's just, I'm awake. What am I doing here lying in bed? Let's get out of bed and go do something. And my most productive 2 hours of any day are the first 2 hours when I get up. That's when I'm alert. That's when I think clearly. That's when the world is at peace and I do my work. So a lot of things, when I was at my lowest, as a young man, when I was trying to struggle through my identity and figuring out who I was and what I wanted to be, it was always family that was there to encourage and push and encourage, pat me on the back, kick me on the butt, keep me going. So it is, you don't often realize who the influences are in your life until you get a chance to look back, and you value family. And, in particular, my parents' desire to see me do well. They weren't exclusive in what I could do or should do, but you can't do it sleeping in bed unless you were a mattress tester, and I never wanted to be that. So there we go. where there's some periods of what I perceive to be success or failure, of course there were. Kind of a humorous story here. For the first 4 years of my schooling, I went to a one-room school. The first 3 years in school, I was the lowest. I had the lowest average in my class every year. I also had the highest average because I was the only one in my class. In my one-room school, there were only 12 children in the whole grade, 8 grades in school. So I frequently look back at that and say, well, that was a terrible time because I was the lowest performing kid in my class. But you got to turn around and say, well, I was also the highest performing. But now, seriously, I have high expectations of myself. I play pool recreationally. I'm not content to be just an average player. I am an average player, but I'm not content. There is an expectation of myself to do well in pool. There was always an expectation of myself to play well when I was in other sports when I was a younger man. There's an expectation of me to do well in carpentry or lawn care. Like I don't like just to do an average job. I know that I'm not going to be the best in the world at any one of those things, but there is always an internal drive to do well. And when we talk about doing well or success, there is a perception by the world that success is defined by finances, your wealth or lack of it, perhaps the amount of power that you have in your particular organization. And I have learned through the years that if you allow the world to define your success, you will never be content, because the world is like an appetite that is insatiable. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, how much you achieve, whatever it is, the world will never, ever be content with your success. So my success is ultimately defined by myself. And sometimes, my expectations of myself will tell me that, will just acknowledge that I didn't do good enough on this job, whether it was trimming a tree or raising a child or all sorts of things. But those are the successes that I have are defined on my own terms. It's not on your terms, Mr. Daniel. I'm sorry if I let you do that. We are two different people. We have two different internal value systems and moral systems, two totally different contexts in which we live. So I appreciate who you are. I appreciate who my neighbors are. I hope they do well in life, but please don't tell me whether I'm successful or not, because you have no idea who I am. One of the
Very
things.
well.
Oh, go ahead.
I said very well said.
I have discovered that storing my socks under my bed is not a good way to succeed. As challenging as it was for me through life, I have discovered through time that organization is one of the valuable keys to personal success. It is very, very challenging to succeed, especially by your own standards, in a world that's filled with chaos. So it's little things. It doesn't mean that if I panned my camera around my office, you would see that there are piles of papers here and there. My books are not in alphabetical order or color coordinated, but my books are on the shelf. They're not strewn around here and there. My shoes are not perfectly aligned at the back door, but I know where my shoes are. I make my bed every morning. You don't go to bed at night with dirty dishes in the sink, because when you wake up in the morning, you look at yesterday's challenges and you say, well, I didn't figure that, and your estimation of what you've done is diminished. People argue about whether or not we should enjoy snow in the wintertime. And I say I love snow. The deeper, the better, because it covers up all last year's mistakes, and I can't see them anymore. So the value of snow to me is a great thing. So it's not that we should hide our mistakes or try to cover them up, but something simple like taking like 2 minutes to make your bed before you go downstairs is not going to make or break your day, but it certainly makes your night when you go to bed and you pull back the sheets. So organization is one of those things that's proven valuable to me. The other thing that is valuable to me is my sense of humor. I enjoy puns. I look at the world as being half full. I am optimistic about my hope and faith in other people. I am frequently disappointed. I am frequently I have been known to have been taken advantage of by people who look at your willingness to help people and say, well, there's an easy mark. But when you go through life, if you can't laugh at yourself, if you can't laugh at the situation, or if you can't laugh with other people, then you're missing a great medicinal tool that has been provided us. Why would you not laugh at a duck-billed platypus? Why would you not laugh at funny things that happen to you through the day? So I keep up my spirits, and I hope that I keep up the spirits of people around me by being able to enjoy life and to live it with a great big belly laugh once in a while too. So.
And I'll just interject. So I'll give you a chance to catch your breath. I do stand-up comedy, right?
Yes.
And that's another thing that we have in common that attracts you and me to each other. Going back to the few things that you said, at my desk, when I was in an office, sharing an office with 4 or 5 people, everybody on the desk had a sign saying, an organized desk is a sign of an organized mind. And they insisted my desk was never organized, and they insisted that I get that too. And I said, I won't get that because that's a lie. I'm not there. And I have no plans. I can get organized for today, but tomorrow it'll be a mess. So I made up my own sign, which I copied from somebody else. I think it was one of the comedians. My sign said, if an organized desk is a sign of an organized mind, if a tidy desk is a sign of a tidy mind, what does an empty desk signify? A few laughs. Second point I was going to raise, you talked about 2 minutes to make a bed. I spent 6 months in the army making up my bed at night and sleeping under the bed because I didn't want to mess it up for 5:30 early morning inspection. Okay. So tell me about how you make a bed in 2 minutes, and then the sergeant comes and flips a quarter over it and wants to see it bounce.
Yep.
So I took the easy road. Third point I was going to raise is about this is you can say it's a good thing or a bad thing, but farm life has taught people a lot of things which is now lacking in our society. And the reason I'm saying that is there's nobody willing to work on the tobacco farms. And we bring in immigrant labor from elsewhere. And yet we don't like immigration. There are several fields like that. And when I started in Canada 56 years ago, I'd be pumping gas. And those days, they were all full service. So every gas pump had a sign saying help wanted. And nobody'd go there. And yet I'd work there 4 hours at $1.25 an hour and make $5. And somebody or the other would always make my day by saying, these bloody immigrants taking all our jobs. So from there, I went to driving a cab. I'd drive a cab all night and get my sleep in between. And there were 40, 50 cabs waiting for a driver. And yet my passengers, when they'd get out of the cab, they would say, these bloody immigrants taking all our jobs. And this went on and on and on. Then I worked at 7-Eleven, and 7-Eleven people used to come till 11 o'clock at night. That was the only place open. They'd come, and when they're leaving, they say, these bloody immigrants taking all our jobs. So now, why do I wear my army beret all the time? Can you guess?
I do not know, because it signifies you're a Canadian.
Does it?
I don't know why do you do that?
Why I wear it? Because not one person has said to me, pointing at my beret, saying, "You have taken my job."
Yeah.
So
No
that
one
goes
wants
against
it.
the grain for you saying that this makes
I
me a
was
Canadian.
going
So
to
anyway,
go back to
it's
your
your show.
sign a
I
little
shouldn't
bit.
take up all your time.
There's a lot of unique, I was fancy going little signs in
to
this
go back
world.
to
I
your
was at the
sign a little bit.
store yesterday,
There's a lot of
and there was a particular sign they had that I'm sure someone thought was funny and cute. And I looked at it and I said, it is a shame that that is what we think is funny anymore, because it was not funny. It was not cute. It was offensive in many regards. The poor folks working at the counter, they had no decision making ability. Like this is a sign you're going to sell. And I asked that someone farther up the administrative chain be made aware that not everybody thought the sign was funny. So, there's a lot of things in life that we need to, you don't need to stand out in front of the store with a big sign. You don't have to chain yourself to the gate or anything. But the opinions of people presented in a logical and respectful sort of way can influence a lot of the decisions that stores make in life. I think that people have a lot more influence on a one-to-one basis when you state your opinion in a reasoned manner to people. They are much more likely to take your advice, your wisdom, your experience to heart. When I was just a young man, I was just in my early 20s, I was able to attend it was a educational leadership sort of program that was available in rural Ontario. And the one year I went as a camper, I enjoyed the camp. I took full advantage of opportunities, came home. It opened my eyes up to a lot of opportunities. And early in the spring of the next year, one of the leaders from that camp called up and said, "We watched you taking part in the camp last year. We want you to come and be part of the leadership team." And I said, "Are you sure you've got the right number here?" Because I was just being me. I wasn't being anybody. I wasn't trying to be anybody other, just me. And through the years, I have looked back at that and have been so appreciative, because someone saw something in me and they took the time to say it out loud. And looking back, that was one of the breakthrough moments in life where, wow, I do have something to offer here. I didn't know that I did. I thought I was just a farm kid, but somebody saw something, and I think their reasoned conversation with me about this is what we see in you, this is what you can bring, and this is what we need on our team. And it's when you make any presentation to anyone else, if you do it in a reasoned, logical fashion, emotion is valuable, but too much of it is harmful. So it is, that ability to speak clearly and in a logical fashion that can influence not just someone else's personal life, but also business culture and all sorts of things like that. One of the questions that you had proposed was, what is one of the things that I would recommend to a younger me? And I took some time and thought about that, and what is the most valuable thing. And I kind of landed on this idea. The most valuable thing I could have told myself as a young person was, get a hobby. It is valuable to be the best parent you can be. It is valuable to be the best work colleague, or volunteer person. But I think the thing that sustains us through all the ups and downs and the challenges of this world is our ability to step outside of those silos of life and engage in an activity. It can be with your family, it can be with your colleagues, it could be with any number of a group of people. But there has to be some sort of thing, an interest that sustains us not just now, but over a longer period of time, that can carry through the changing jobs that you may have, or the changing relationships with family, or the changing financial conditions that you live in. A hobby that you are really interested in is so important. I watched so many older farmers as a young person. They would work hard on the farm until they were 70. They would retire to a town. They'd be dead in 2 years. They had nothing to wake up for in the morning. There was no purpose in life anymore. So even after you retire, after your mobility decreases and your cognitive abilities decrease, if you have some sort of a hobby that sustains you through those periods, I think that is one of the great pieces of advice that I would have given myself. And it wasn't until I retired from all my jobs that I actually did get a hobby. It is recreational pool at this time. It's just as frustrating as golf, but you don't have to walk so far. so it's a great thing like that. And the thing with a hobby like that is it also provides opportunity to have relationships with other people. If you were interested in stamps or cars or a recreational activity of some sort or other, there's very few hobbies that you do totally in isolation. Even bird watching, you've got somebody to go with you. So it is a great means to stimulate both your social activities and your mental activity as well. I did have goals as a younger person when I was farming. We milked cows, and my goal was to be bigger, have more cows, more land, more tractors, more cows, more land, more cows, more tractors, more land. It was a never-ending cycle. And over time,